Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we're going to talk about something that could reshape portable gaming. It's not just another gadget. It's not just another spec bump. This is something that could move the entire industry forward. I'm talking about the ASUS ROG Ally 2. Now, if you've been following handheld gaming over the past few years, you know the landscape has changed a lot. Not long ago, portable gaming meant playing on a Nintendo Switch or maybe tinkering with a Steam Deck. Those devices made handhelds cool again. But ASUS is stepping into this space with a bold vision. And the ROG Ally 2 is proof that they aren't here to play small. So let's break it down. To really understand why the Ally 2 matters, we need to look back for a moment. The first ROG Ally was a surprise hit. It came out swinging with sleek looks, a bright display, and the power of Windows gaming in your hands. But it wasn't perfect. It was more like a first attempt, good enough to get people talking, but still had a lot of room for growth. Then came the ROG Ally X. This was a refinement, a slightly better battery, more RAM, a nicer design. It felt good, and it performed decently. But let's be real here. It wasn't revolutionary. It was just a cleaned-up version of the first. The Ally X still ran on the same AMD Z2 Extreme chip. That chip was solid, no doubt about it. It could handle a wide library of games, but it didn't push the experience to the next level. Players wanted more, and that's where the ROG Ally 2 enters the story. ASUS clearly heard the feedback. They realized they couldn't just do another small update. They needed something bigger, something that actually moved the needle. And that's exactly what they've set out to do. Here's the first thing you should know. The Ally 2 isn't just one device. It's two. ASUS is splitting the lineup into two models, a white version and a black version. This decision might seem simple, but it's actually a very smart strategy. Why? Because gamers aren't all the same. Some want something light, affordable, and fun. Others want a powerhouse that can rival gaming laptops. By offering two models, ASUS is speaking to both groups. Let's start with the white model. Think of this as the entry-level version, but don't confuse entry-level with weak. This version is designed for players who want an enjoyable gaming experience without spending too much. It's lighter, cheaper, and still strong enough to handle a ton of games. It's expected to use the AMD Z2 chip. That's not the newest chip, but it's reliable. It's perfect for indie games, retro titles, and even a lot of modern games that are well optimized. What makes this model appealing is balance. Fewer CPU cores mean less raw power, but that also means lower heat and better battery life. It's the kind of device you can pick up and play without worrying about fan noise or quick battery drain. Perfect for people who just want to relax with their favorite platformers, RPGs, or classics from the past. It's going to compete directly with devices like the Lenovo Legion Go and the AY Neo Air. And in this range, it's not always about the highest frame rate. It's about usability, comfort, how well the device fits into your lifestyle. That's what makes the white model important. It doesn't try to over-deliver. It tries to deliver smartly. But now let's move to the black model. This is where things get serious. This is the one making waves. The black version of the ROG Ally 2 isn't just an upgrade. It's a reinvention. The big headline here is the chip inside, the AMD Z2 Extreme. Built on the latest Zen 5 architecture, this chip is a huge step forward. We're talking about a performance jump of 15 to 20% compared to the Z2 Extreme. That's not just a number on paper. That's something you feel the moment you boot up a game. Think about faster load times. Think about smoother gameplay. Think about boss fights where your frame rate doesn't dip and ruin the experience. That's the kind of leap this chip promises. And it's not just raw speed. The Z2 Extreme also brings better heat management. That means quieter fans, less heat on your hands, and longer sessions without throttling. Now, let's look at memory and storage. This is where the black version flexes its muscles. Up to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM. Stop for a second and think about that. 32 gigabytes in your hands. That's more than what many gaming laptops come with. And it doesn't stop here. You can also get up to 4 terabytes of storage. That's not just space for a handful of games. That's a full library. Dozens of AAA titles, retro collections, media files, even content creation tools. And because this storage is faster, everything runs smoother. Games load quicker. Multitasking feels natural. It's not just a handheld console at this point. It's a portable computer. But ASUS didn't stop at specs. They also reimagined the design. The original Ally felt slim, almost like a tablet with controls attached. That was fine for short sessions, but not ideal for long play. The Ally 2 changes everything. It's chunkier, but in the right way. Deeper grips, bold curves. It feels more like a proper controller built into the device. Your hands wrap around it naturally. No more cramping during long play sessions. The weight is better balanced, too, so it doesn't feel heavy at the top. Whether you're sitting on a couch, traveling, or lying in bed, it feels comfortable. Button placement has also been refined. Tighter, more responsive. The analog sticks feel sturdier. The D-pad is crisper. These may sound like small details, but they matter, especially in games that demand precision, like fighting games or shooters. When every input counts, these refinements make a huge difference. Now let's talk about the display. ASUS kept the 7-inch screen, and that was a smart move. It's large enough to give you an immersive experience, but small enough to keep it portable. And here's another bonus. Accessories you may already own, like screen protectors or cases from the first Ally, should still work. That saves you money. The display is also rumored to keep a high refresh rate, possibly around 120 Hz. That makes fast-paced titles buttery smooth. Combine that with the Z2 Extreme chip, and you're looking at handheld visuals that rival desktop monitors. Battery and charging are also getting a big upgrade. The Ally 2 supports up to 100-watt fast charging. That's massive. No more waiting hours to get back into the game. Plug it in for 20 to 30 minutes, and you've got hours of playtime ready to go. And because the new architecture is more efficient, you get better performance without killing the battery too fast. For people who travel, commute, or just want to game casually without worrying about charge levels, this is a game changer. But here's one of the most exciting small details, the Xbox button. At first, it may not sound like much. Just another button, right? But this button hints at deeper integration with Microsoft. Imagine turning on your Ally 2 and seeing a dashboard that feels more like an Xbox than Windows 11. That would be huge. One of the biggest complaints about Windows handhelds has always been clunky navigation. Tiny icons. Windows not built for touchscreens. Having to poke around just to get into your game. But if ASUS, with Microsoft's help, can build a proper gaming interface, that changes everything. Imagine something like SteamOS, but with Xbox Game Pass baked right in. You power it on, your library is waiting, and you're gaming in seconds. That's the dream. And it looks like the Ally 2 might deliver. Cooling and noise are also worth mentioning. Handheld PCs often get noisy when pushed hard. Fans whine. The back gets hot. It breaks immersion. ASUS claims the Ally 2 will run quieter and cooler thanks to the new chip and improved cooling design. That means fewer distractions. You can play late at night in a quiet room without worrying about noise or overheating. Just smooth, immersive gameplay. At this point, you might be wondering, what is ASUS really trying to do here? They're not trying to replace your gaming desktop. They're not even trying to replace your $2,000 gaming laptop. They're building something else. A handheld that brings console-quality gaming into your hands, wherever you are. No quotas. No setup. Just power on the go. Whether you're on a couch, in a park, in a hotel, or on a plane, the experience follows you. And with 2 versions, they've covered both sides of the market. The white model for casual players who want something fun and affordable. The black model for enthusiasts who demand top performance and premium build quality. You don't have to overspend if you just want to enjoy your favorite games. But if you want it all, power, speed, and refinement, you have that option too. So let's quickly recap this first section. The ASUS ROG Ally 2 is coming in 2 versions. The white model, with the AMD Z1 chip, lighter, cheaper, and perfect for casual gaming. The black model with the brand new AMD Z2 Extreme chip built on Zen 5, with up to 32 gigabytes of RAM and 4 terabytes of storage. A redesigned ergonomic body with deeper grips, better buttons, and balanced weight. A 7-inch display with high refresh rates. Fast charging up to 100 watts. cooler and quieter operation, and a new Xbox button that hints at Microsoft-level integration for a true console-like UI. This is more than just a device. It's ASUS making a statement. They're not following the handheld trend. They're trying to define it. The ROG Ally 2 could be the device that pushes portable gaming into its next era. So now that we've covered the specs, the models, and the features of the ROG Ally 2, let's zoom out. Because this device isn't just about numbers on a sheet. It's about what it means for portable gaming as a whole. To understand that, we have to talk about competition, the audience, and where handheld gaming is heading. Let's start with the obvious. Handheld gaming is having a renaissance. For years, the Nintendo Switch stood almost alone. It proved that people still love the idea of gaming on the go. The Switch wasn't about raw power. It was about accessibility. You could play Mario Kart on a train, then dock it home and keep going on a big screen. That simplicity is what made it a global hit. Then Valve entered the picture with the Steam Deck. And this was a turning point. The Steam Deck didn't try to be a console. It was a portable PC. Suddenly, players had access to their entire Steam library in a handheld. That was a big deal. It wasn't sleek like the Switch, but it was powerful and flexible. It showed there was room for another type of handheld, one aimed at PC gamers. After that, other companies started experimenting. Devices like the AY Neo, the Lenovo Legion Go, and others entered the market. Each tried to balance performance, design, and price. Some focused on power, others on portability. But none of them managed to break out in the same way the Switch or Steam Deck did. Why? Because they didn't strike the perfect balance. And this is where the ASUS ROG Ally 2 comes in. ASUS isn't just making another handheld. They're making a statement. By offering two versions, they're directly addressing both ends of the spectrum. Casual gamers who don't need maximum specs, but want something reliable. And enthusiasts who demand top-tier performance. This dual approach could be the key to breaking through. But let's not forget the challenges. Price will be a big factor. Handheld PCs are expensive compared to consoles. If ASUS wants to win, the white model has to hit a sweet spot. Affordable enough to attract casual players, yet not so stripped down that it feels like a compromise. The black model, on the other hand, will naturally be expensive. But if it delivers true high-end performance, enthusiasts will pay for it. The question is, will ASUS get the pricing right? Another challenge is software. Hardware can be amazing, but if the user interface is clunky, it ruins the experience. We've seen this before. Windows handhelds have always struggled because Windows isn't built for tiny screens. Too many menus, too many small buttons. That's why the dedicated Xbox button matters so much. If ASUS and Microsoft really create a streamlined gaming interface, it could solve one of the biggest issues handheld PCs have faced for years. Imagine powering it on and going straight to your Game Pass library. No fuss, no confusion, just play. That's the dream. Now, let's talk about performance in the real world. Specs sound impressive on paper, but what matters is how it feels when you play. The Z2 Extreme chip promises a 15 to 20% performance bump. That's significant. But more important is how it handles demanding games over long sessions. Does it throttle? Does it stay cool? Does the fan stay quiet? These things matter more than benchmark scores. Gamers want stability. They want to know their device won't let them down at the worst possible moment. Another big factor is ergonomics. The new design with deeper grips and better balance could make a huge difference. Comfort is often overlooked in spec sheets. But if you've ever held a device that felt awkward, you know how quickly that ruins the experience. ASUS clearly listened to feedback here. By making it feel more like a controller, they're solving a real problem. Long play sessions, why? Be easier. And that means people will use it more. So how does the ROG Ally 2 stack up against competitors? Let's compare. Against the Steam Deck, the Ally 2 has clear advantages. Better display, more powerful hardware, especially in the black model, a sleeker design, and if Microsoft integration is real, a smoother UI. But the Steam Deck has one big edge: price. Valve managed to make it surprisingly affordable. If ASUS can't match that, they'll need to rely on performance and polish to win players over. Against the Nintendo Switch, it's almost a different battle entirely. The Switch wins on exclusive games. Mario, Zelda, Pokemon. These are titles you can't get anywhere else. The Ally 2 can't compete on that front. But where it wins is raw power. If you want to play AAA PC games on the go, the Switch isn't even in the conversation. The Ally 2 is. Against devices like the Lenovo Legion Go or AY Neo, the Ally 2 has the advantage of brand trust. ASUS is a big name in gaming. Their ROG brand is recognized worldwide. That gives them credibility. Players know ASUS can deliver on quality. Smaller companies don't have that same weight behind them. That matters when people are spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now let's step back from competition and think about the bigger picture. What does the ROG Ally 2 mean for gaming culture? We're living in a time where gaming is everywhere. Consoles in the living room, PCs in the office, phones in our pockets. But handheld PCs add a new layer. They bring PC gaming into places it didn't exist before. On planes, on buses, in cafes, in bed at night. The Ally 2 isn't just another gadget. It's part of a cultural shift. It makes gaming even more portable, even more integrated into daily life. There's also the community aspect. Devices like this open up new ways for people to connect. Imagine playing a co-op game with friends during a commute, or streaming directly from your handheld while traveling. The Ally 2's specs make that possible. With 32 gigabytes of RAM and huge storage, it's not just for gaming. It can handle streaming, recording, even editing content. That blurs the line between gaming device and full computer. And that flexibility is powerful. But with all this excitement, there are still questions. Will the software really deliver? Will pricing be competitive? Will battery life hold up during heavy gaming? These are the unknowns, and they'll determine whether the ROG Ally 2 is a revolution or just another interesting gadget. One thing is clear, though. ASUS is taking handheld gaming seriously. They're not dipping a toe in the water. They're diving in headfirst. And that's what makes this moment exciting. Because competition drives innovation. The more companies push into handheld gaming, the better the devices will get. Players win in the end. So where does this leave us? The ROG Ally 2 could be the device that finally bridges the gap. A handheld that's powerful enough for enthusiasts, yet accessible enough for casual players. A device that feels premium but also practical. Something that doesn't just add to the handheld market, but helps define its future. Think about what's possible if this works. Imagine future generations of handhelds with even better chips, even longer battery life, even smarter software. Imagine a world where portable gaming isn't a niche, but a major part of the industry. That's the path the ROG Ally 2 could be opening up. So, as we wrap up, let's reflect. The ASUS ROG Ally 2 isn't just a sequel. It's a signal that handheld gaming is evolving. A signal that companies are willing to innovate and take risks. And a signal that the way we play games is changing. Two versions. One for casual gamers. One for enthusiasts. A design built for comfort. Specs that rival laptops. Fast charging. Quiet cooling. And maybe, just maybe, a software experience that finally makes Windows handhelds feel like consoles. That's what the ROG Ally 2 brings to the table. The question now is simple. Will it live up to the hype? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The future of handheld gaming just got a lot more exciting.